Welcome back to Lessons in Leadership. I want to thank our good friend Greg Lalevee from Local 825 for joining us and offering his insight. Mary, we weren't arguing on the air, were we?
No, never. We never argue. We have a spirited dialogue. It's engaging, and we play off of each other. It's fine.
And we have different views of what appears to be the same situation. And hopefully I don't know if we come to an agreement, but we appreciate each other's point of view.
Yeah. And I always say you got to agree to disagree. And I even don't like that statement that much because it's not even like we disagree. You just need to be open to others' perspectives. And I'm sure everyone watching has different perspectives as well.
And I have 22 years with you and married my wife 21 years. All I ever want is, you're right, Steve. That's all I want.
We say that about 80% of the time. And then when we don't say it, you've got to know that you're probably not right.
Let's get off with me. So you ready?
Yes.
This is another Lessons in Leadership mini seminar. That's right. You've come to appreciate these seminars. We're going to use this in our leadership academies where we coach and mentor people on a whole range of leadership skills. Today, Mary and Sylvester, who is extraordinary on the back end, not just editing, but in post-production, making everything look good. We're going to put up what we call the strategic relationship building hub and spokes model. So I want you to envision this. So that's just putting it up. But right now, let me just try this. The whole concept here, Mary, is that relationship building is, in fact, an important leadership skill set. And strategic relationship building is simply saying you actually have a methodical, consistent approach to strengthening, building, creating relationships, building relationships, dealing with relationships when there are bumps in the road, identifying when you have blind spots with certain people and certain relationships and you got to deal with them. So what does hub and spokes mean? Think about a bicycle, right, Mary? It's a bicycle tire.
Mm-hmm. Sure is.
Mary Gamba is at the hub. And your spokes are your key stakeholders, meaning key people in your world. So do it right now as we're talking about this, Mary. Some of the key stakeholders in your world, the first being
family, in my opinion. But and remember, we can talk.
I thought it was me, but go ahead.
Well, you are my hub. The world and the spokes revolve around.
The key is you're the person.
I'm joking. I know what the hub and spokes is. Okay. And I'll tell you something. We've been using this now for about a decade.
Yeah.
And it works everywhere. We get such feedback about this. So Sylvester's putting up on screen. So you have you in the middle, the spokes are coming off. And literally those spokes could be everything from, yes, your boss. It could be a manager. It could be your peers. A spoke is going to be your family for sure. It could be your board if you work for a nonprofit or an organization that has a board. But we always talk then, Steve, about taking it one level deeper, because if you're a small business, we do a whole series here with Delta Dental on small business leadership, and it could be small business. So it could be, ABC law firm, but you need to take it a step further because you need to put the names of the individuals with whom you need to connect. Because remember, we call this a relationship building exercise. It's not just I went through this exercise and I created this cute graphic that Sylvester is so wonderfully putting on screen right now, but it's who of these spokes have I not touched base with? Who can I reach out to see if I can be helpful? That is why we do it, because we are all so busy and it's so easy to get away from one of those spokes for too long.
So stay on this as we come back on camera here. And I know we're driving Sylvester crazy with the editing, when to put it up, when not to put it up. So this is the way I look at it. So if I'm in the hub and then the spokes are different key relationships. And I remember when I first did this, I used to say one of the hubs was team members. So we have anywhere between 8 and 10 full-time team members, and then a great freelance team with Sylvester and Elvin and Frank and Scarlin and Amy and April, who's doing makeup here. All different people, right? All over the place. And Marcus, who's on the public television side doing editing in New York. So why do I say that? It's because you don't have a relationship with the team as a whole. You do, but think about it for a second. If I didn't put the names of individual team members, there's 2 Jackies on our production team. Jackie Heyer is not Jackie Tricarico. The Jackies. They're not one person. So, Mary, let's go into this. You actually have to have a relationship and work on that relationship, because if you don't, it gets too far away and then someone's gone because they didn't feel the love or any connection or whatever. Help me on this, Mary.
Yeah, so you and I talk about that all the time. When you actually create this hub and spokes, and I do say it works for anyone. If somebody's watching, if my dad is watching right now, because I know that he watches every Sunday at 10 a.m. on News 12 Plus, if my dad is watching, he could put himself in the hub and put, yes, he still works part-time, but he's got his sisters, he's got his neighbors. It works for everyone. So Steve, before you talked about a blind spot, I've often said to you, Steve, that, hey, listen, you and I talk at least 15 times a day, if not more. We have other hubs in your hub and spokes model.
Other spokes.
I'm sorry, other spokes. Thank you. In your hub and spokes model. And you need to reach out to those spokes. Why? Not just to do it to check it off check off a box. Touch base. How are you doing? What could I be doing to be more helpful? Tell me where you are on so-and-so project. And again, if you do it on the personal side with family and friends, check in and say, hey, it's been a while. How's your mom doing? How's your dad doing? How's the new job going? And by doing that, you're going to find that those people, number one, like you said, they're going to feel and know that you actually care, because you do, but they're going to feel valued. And to pull it all back to leadership, they are going to want to be in your orbit, and that will lead to long-lasting relationships, which is really what we're all here to do.
And it's so funny, Mary talks about personal, you're in the hub, and spokes could be professional or personal. But sometimes the professional relationships have a personal component, meaning there's something going on with a team member, with a colleague, with a client, with a whomever, that is personal. It's family related, it's health related, it's a real issue. And if you think, well, that's not my business, well, technically, I imagine, but that's not great for relationship building. Where's the XYZ project? When that person's dealing with a family member who's struggling or not well, or they're dealing with some whatever issue it is, and all you're doing is saying you're behind on a deadline. That's horrible for the relationship. Because isn't it, Mary, you and I often say this, relationships, leadership, because someone might ask what the heck this has to do with leadership. It's about being, quote, other-centered. That's what Hub and Spokes is it not?
It's exactly right. And you wrote it. It was one of the chapters, I believe, in Lessons in Leadership. It's all about them. And you put them in all caps with an exclamation point. It truly does need to be about the other person. Sure, we talk about our own wellness. We talk about making sure that we're doing what we need to be doing. But the best leaders make sure to be other-centric, whether it's the customer, making sure that you're not only meeting their expectations, exceeding those expectations. And you'll also find if you take the time to ask, you're going to learn things that you didn't know before.
And real quick on this, there's a whole chapter in this new book coming out later this year, Lessons in Leadership 2.0, what about the tough stuff or the tough stuff? And there's a whole chapter on the art of asking questions. And I'm not going to quibble with Mary, but because she's just saying, how are you doing as a question, but I get caught up in how that sounds to me. Because what happens, Mary, when we ask people, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good. And it ends there. Yeah.
So I hear that and I go, okay. So if I reach out for a team member and I say, how you doing? I know what's going to happen, usually. But if you ask a different kind of question, and the question sounds like this, we got a taping coming up. What's the biggest concern / challenge you have that I can help you with? I'm sorry, what? Like all of a sudden that person has to think, and inevitably there is a challenge. There is an issue. And it starts the conversation. So Mary, connect this whole strategic relationship building thing with the art of conversations and asking questions that get people talking.
You hit it on the head right there. The closed-ended question with, how are you? You're just going to get a good by asking specific questions of a specific person about a specific, whether it's a project, whether it's about a family member. And again, you do want to be careful, obviously, if they haven't shared, you're not just going to say, oh, are you married? And do you have any kids? And, but you get to know your team and you're going to find that they share a lot better if you actually ask really great questions. You and I joke a lot about the Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and the teacher's in front of the room and he's like, anyone? And if you just put it out there, just as a closed-ended question, you're not going to get as much as if you change that dialogue and say, Steve, what was the most exciting thing that happened to you this weekend? So even if it's not work related, again, just check in with your team member and say, oh, don't just say, how was your Thanksgiving? It was good. No, talk about, oh, did you, do any day trips on Thanksgiving? Tell me, what was the greatest thing about your weekend? It just changes the dialogue and gets the other person talking.
So in that spirit, got about a minute left. I'm going to ask you a precise and specific question. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
The thing you love about being the executive producer, but also being on air with Lessons in Leadership is?
It is to get to work with such talented and caring people such as you, Steve, and
No, forget about me.
Elvin.
Not about me. You're Elvin, you said.
Yes, and Scarlin and Frank and April and Amy behind the scenes and Sylvester. I think I hit everybody now, but it's just being creative and collaborative. And those are the two C words that I think of, creative and collaborative. And I'm just so grateful and thankful.
And what did Elvin say in the chat? I
missed it. It popped down while I was looking at my camera.
Said, it's amazing. Mary gets to work with us. Thanks, Elvin. I appreciate that. He's directing and commenting the whole time.
And now he's saying to say goodbye.
For Mary, myself, and the entire terrific team that we're so grateful and thankful for at Lessons in Leadership, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. This edition of Lessons in Leadership is made possible by the Buccino Leadership Institute at Seton Hall University, Prager Metis, Valley Bank, the International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 825, the North Ward Center, the New Jersey Sharing Network, Delta Dental of New Jersey, Fedway Associates, Inc., Veolia, Resourcing the World, and Seton Hall University, showing the world what great minds can do since 1856.
This is Mary Gamba. If you want more leadership tips and tools, log on to stand-deliver.com. That's stand-deliver.com.
Promotional support for this edition of Lessons in Leadership with me, Steve Adubato, and my colleague, Mary Gamba, has been provided by NJ.com, NJBIA, and New Jersey Business Magazine, CIANJ, and Commerce Magazine.